Hi, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to give my updated thoughts on the Burnett b68 airlock machine. I can't believe I've already owned this machine for 2 years. I feel like that time has flown by, but if you want the TLDR, I am still really loving this machine, but I wanted to talk about some of my updated thoughts on the machine because I was just rewatching my first impressions video and I definitely have some thoughts because I clearly didn't know that much about this machine at that point. So I just wanted to give some updated little notes and things like that. This video is actually inspired by a comment I received saying that they find changing the needles kind of cumbersome and poorly indicated. And I will kind of agree on this because I do think that it was confusing for me in the beginning, but honestly, I have gotten so used to this machine, so it feels like second nature now. So this comment was actually asking if I could make a revised guide for some clarity on which needles to use. And I don't know actually if I can make a better guide than the way that I'm about to explain it to you right now. So when I know what kind of stitch that I want to use, the first thing I do is I open up the cover and there's a sticker inside the machine that shows the position for an overlock stitch, cover stitch, and combo stitches. And I always refer to that as my starting point when I'm switching between stitch settings. And by the way, this sticker is also on page 64 of the manual. So one thing that's a little bit confusing is on this sticker, it'll refer to the needles as LN, RN, and CC. And I'm assuming that just means left needle, right needle, and center needle. But if you actually look at the machine, the needle position is indicated with A, B, C, D, and E. So it might be a little bit tricky at first to understand the relationship between those two different sets of letters. Now that I've used this machine for 2 years, it's almost like second nature for me to understand that an overlock stitch uses the back section of needles and then the cover stitches uses the front section of needles. And when I say front set of needles, I mean the needles that are going to intersect with the foot of your machine. So yeah, I kind of use a combination of the sticker guide in the front and also the foot of the machine to help me place where my needles are going to go. Another tip that I wanted to give is to always use this little needle holder whenever you're changing your needles in this machine. Seriously, this is a very handy tool. Actually, recently, I don't know what I was doing, but I accidentally dropped a needle in the inside of my machine and I was freaking out for a moment. And I think it's just because I had taken it out of this needle holder for just a second. I don't even remember why I did that, but yeah, a needle went right into the heart of my machine and I was a little worried. But what I did, in case you find yourself in this situation, is I didn't move any of the internals of the machine. I just kind of tipped my machine back and forth to try to get the needle to come out of the machine. And you got to do that very carefully because you don't want to drop your machine, obviously. So yeah, that was a little scary. Just always use this needle holder and hopefully you won't run into that problem. Also, since I was rewatching my first impression video, I was kind of laughing about how I was like, oh my gosh, the manual doesn't tell you how to switch over to cover stitch. I have to go to a bunch of different places in the manual to figure that out. That is actually not true. I think when I got the machine, I was just overwhelmed with the amount of information. So I think I just wasn't reading it properly. And so to switch over to a cover stitch, it's all laid out for you on page 53 of the manual. I also discussed in further detail how to switch over to a cover stitch setting in my video where I cropped a bunch of my t-shirts, and I will link that for you. But in this video, I wanted to point out actually some safety settings that I didn't notice before that I really appreciate, and they all have to do with the cover plate. The face plate for the cover stitch setting will actually help you to not forget to do any of your steps, and I'm gonna show you why that is. So when this plate is attached to the machine, you'll notice that if the upper looper is engaged, it'll run into the plate, so you know that that is not supposed to be engaged. Additionally, it only has a notch indicated for the rolled hem lever, so you got to make sure you have it in that setting. And then lastly, the knife will stop you from having a perfect fit if the knife is still engaged when you put this plate on. So yeah, I just thought that was a nice detail to kind of help you remember all the steps when you're getting to a cover stitch setting. I will say if you're a beginner, maybe it'll be helpful to write down a list of the settings that you need to switch to whenever you're switching between between stitch settings. But yeah, the machine really does hold your hand through the process of switching between the settings. So maybe there is a slight learning curve, but I don't really think about that anymore whenever I'm using this machine. Another thing that I think I got wrong in my first impressions video is I don't think that running off your fabric when you're in a cover stitch setting is dangerous to your machine. If someone finds out otherwise in the manual, please let me know, but I was using Adobe Acrobat to search the manual to try to find where I had supposedly read that information, and I think I just got confused by something else, because when you're sewing with a cover stitch, it doesn't create a thread chain the same way that an overlock stitch will. So maybe I got that confused somehow. But yeah, I just want to make you aware because I don't want people to be scared to run off the fabric when they're in the cover stitch setting, because I think I was when I first started using this machine, and so far nothing has happened. Again, please leave a comment down below if I'm wrong on this, but I think that I kind of made that up. Also, in another video, I was talking about how the thread going over the upper looper kind of bothered me, and I wasn't sure if that was an indication that I had threaded my machine incorrectly. So far, I don't think that it is incorrect. I think that that thread is supposed to be there. It still kind of bothers me. It feels like it is wrong. Like it feels like the thread shouldn't be there. But I've checked other people's videos when they're using this machine and they all have this thread going above the upper looper. So I guess it's fine. And then also I had made a video about how to use every stitch setting in this machine. And I wanted to add kind of an addendum because when I was reading through the manual for this video, I saw just a little note that I thought was interesting. In the manual, there's a little footnote about how you can use the chain stitch setting to be your basting stitch because chain stitches are so easy to remove. And I thought that was an excellent idea actually. I don't know that I'm personally going to use my machine in that way because usually my regular sewing machine is handy and easy to just do a quick basting stitch. But I thought that was a great idea if you already have this machine out and you need some temporary stitches. The chain stitch is a great option for that. Speaking of chain stitches being easy to remove, I will say that I need to get better at properly securing them when I'm done with a chain stitch. So you're actually supposed to use a hand needle to bring the threads on the same side of the fabric and tie them off. And I hadn't been doing that. And a lot of my earlier cover stitch seams, especially the ones that are at the hem, are starting to come undone. So I need to fix that and tie them off and secure them properly. But I wanted to make that little note there because I do think I got a comment about how you end your cover stitches. And yes, that is the correct way. Have I been doing that this entire time? Absolutely not. I will say that's more important when you don't have another set of stitches to lock the first one in place. So yeah, that's why most of my hems are coming undone. So I think that's everything. Like I said, I am still really loving this machine. I guess this machine must be doing well for Bernat because I noticed that there is a new model labeled B68 Maker. I don't know what the difference is between the Maker model and the Airlock model, other than it comes in a fun teal color. If you know what the difference is, definitely let me know down below. But yeah, that's all that I have for you today. Let me know if you have any more questions on this machine because I will definitely try to answer that. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye!